All right, y'all. Continuation. Now, like I said, I didn't have a horrible childhood. I had friends. I was able to play. I mean, it's not like my dad kept me under lock and key or anything else like that. It's just, certain things he exaggerated on with me, like punishments and um, things like that. But for the most part, I mean, I had a decent childhood. Um, Now, when my father died, it left my mother with three boys, aging from my oldest brother who's going into college the following school year, my middle brother who is still in Catholic high school, and me. At my father's funeral, I cried once. I cried over my father one time, and it wasn't even for my father, my daddy. It was crying over being pissed off that no matter what anybody said about his health or anything like that, he just didn't care or didn't want to care and left my mother with three of us to take care of. At roughly the same point, I had one of my best friends to this day, and still will always be one of my best friends, Jamie, who everybody thought that me and her were going to end up together. But luckily it didn't, because there's no way in hell I was ever going to make a good enough husband for that woman. She got diagnosed with both types of leukemia, blood and bone. Blood, that was pretty much, that was the easy part of the leukemia. I mean, between treatments and blood transfusions and stuff like that, not easy as in easy on her, easy as that was the more easier treatable one. Bone, unfortunately, she needed bone marrow transplant. And luckily, her younger sister, Louise, who to this day I'm also friends with, was a match and was able to help and do what a sibling, a loved one, should do, and gave Jamie a bone marrow transplant. Now Jamie lives in Maryland. She has three beautiful kids. She has a husband. She has a good life. And I am so happy that she's still in my life and still here, because at that time, and in future times, this woman, can literally battle cancer and whoop its ass, not only once, not only twice, I believe 3, if not 4 times, and come out with a shining personality, just basically say, fuck you, cancer. Well, know what? My life ain't bad. She is the strongest person I've ever known. I love her to death, and trust me, if she calls me and tells me that I need to be there because of any reason whatsoever, I will figure out a way to be there. But now, my father died when I was 12, 13 years old. Kind of took some of my childhood away from me. Now I'm a teenager. I come home from school. My mom goes to work. I'm home all alone. My teenage years were, for a lack of a better term, my fucked up years. My teenage years was the first time I was introduced to the inside of a police station, inside the back of a cop car. I basically went ape shit in my teenage years. I was hanging around with people that were not necessarily the greatest people to be hanging around with, but like I said, I get home from school, mom goes to work, I do what the hell I want. I have my childhood back, but as a teenager, and that's not a good combination. I proceeded to hang out with a bunch of no names, but a motorcycle group, a motorcycle association that basically I was a junior member of. I was never a full member of because of my age, but I was around, and I was around certain things that I probably shouldn't have been around. And at this point, like I said, I'm a teenager, I'm growing up, I'm doing whatever the hell I want to do. Going into the city, hanging around Brooklyn, Harlem, Queens, the Bronx, doing stuff that a person of my age probably shouldn't have been doing. Person of my age that should have been home doing his homework and studies and stuff like that, but instead, my education came from doing what I did. I grew up, I wouldn't say on the streets like a homeless person, but I grew up in the streets. I did what I had to do what I had to do. I did some stuff, some criminal activity that I'm not going to incriminate myself or anything like that or incriminate anybody, but I did shit that a 13, 14-year-old should not be doing. You know, it's also the time that I was not introduced to, but started getting heavily into, which was smoking weed, which I don't have a problem with, and to this day I don't have a problem with smoking weed or anybody who smokes weed. I mean, weed don't make you do dumb shit. Weed makes you sit on the couch and go, dude, I'm hungry. You know, it's not like you run out of weed and you're like, oh shit, I need to go rob somebody to go get more weed. You know, you're like, oh, we ran out of weed. Oh, that's alright, I'm fucking hungry and I'm fucking going to bed anyway. Screw it. You know, everybody makes weed out to be a gateway drug, and it's not. Now, did I experiment with other drugs? Yes, but not until later on down the road. Basically, it was just weed and drinking. Now, I was always the kid because I always looked older than what I was. I was able to get the alcohol and stuff like that. And then when my father died and my mom got, you know, the insurance money and this, that, you know, thing, she went buck-ass wild on doing the house the way she wanted to do it, the way that she's always wanted to do it and everything else like that. So I had a fucking goddamn, at the time, a Playboy mansion. You know, I had a hot tub. I had, you know, a gazebo, a lawn swing. I had, my room was down in the bay. You know, I had the shit. Not only that, but I was also making money doing not so legal things and all that other fun stuff. But also my teenage years was also the time where I saw a lot of shit that I should not have seen and went through a lot of shit that I should not have gone through. You know, I watched a good friend of mine die in front of me. Not doing anything wrong, not doing anything criminal, just he thought he was strong enough to hold a coil spring, yank it out of a car. Well, he was strong enough, he got it down, he yanked it out of the car, it popped out of his hands and ripped his face off. In the front yard. His wife and kids in the house. And here's this 15-year-old kid going, stay in the house, call 911 type of thing, and, you know, flipping his face back on so it wasn't disgusting. You know, 16 years old, I'm running a kind of a bouncer corporation job, whatever, but, you know, I was 16 years old. I was a bouncer in a bar. You know, I was like I said, I hit my growth spurt later in life. You know, I was also, you know, going to the gym because I was playing football. I was I grew up into a big person. You know, I was a big guy, and I was able to handle myself, and I was able to take care of myself. And people that I knew, and between things that I was doing and doing for, and just family, friends that knew about me, they were like, hey, I got a job for you. You make decent money. You know, it's all off the fucking books, and you don't need to worry about nothing. You know, until I get shot. Until I get sliced. Until I get stabbed. Until, you know, all this other fun shit. You know, until I pull a fucking bullet out of my leg that is stuck in my bone with a pair of needle-nose pliers, wrapping it up in a dirty-ass freaking kitchen rag, looking at the owner and going, I'm going home. And he's like, well, don't you need to go to the hospital? And I'm like, dude, how are you going to explain a 16-year-old kid getting shot in your bar or how do you explain an ambulance call to your bar for a gunshot wound on a 16-year-old kid. And him looking at me going, you got a point. I said, listen, fucking the bullet was stuck in my fucking shin bone. You know, I pulled it out. It's fucking fine. I'm bleeding, but, you know, fuck it. You know? That was the mindset I had when I was growing up, you know, in my teenage years and shit like that. I'm fucking 6 foot. At the time, hell, between working out and everything like that, I was 6 foot, fucking 210, fucking just a fucking hoss. I didn't give a shit, you know? But also, in my teenage years, is also when my mother couldn't handle me no more because of my mental state. My mental state was bad. My mental state was horrible. My mental state was, there's nothing nobody can say, do, or make me do. I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want to do, and it got me into a lot of trouble. It got me in trouble with the law, it got me in trouble with school, it got me in trouble with my mom, it got me in trouble with my friends. People that I've known growing up and everything else like that just stopped fucking talking to me and stopped dealing with me because I was going off the edge. I mean, I was taking fucking 28 steps past the fucking end of the pier thinking I can walk on water. You know? And come to find out that there was also reasons for that too, especially my anger. My anger was out of this world bad. My anger was, just beyond uncontrollable. I would black out. I would, snap into a different person and, for one instance, I had a friend of mine, or associate or whatever, tell me I lifted up the back end of a car because the dude owed me money. And I lifted up the back end of the car so he couldn't drive away. And when he stopped revving the fucking wheels up, I dropped the car, punched out the driver's side window, knocked him to clean the fuck out, knocked out a couple of his teeth, ripped his car stereo out of his car, searched him, took everything he had, and then turned around and looked at his girlfriend and said, if you want to get rid of a real man, come and fucking find me. You know, that type of shit. I mean, I'm not proud of anything I have done, but everything that I've done has made me the person that I am. You know, going through football and stuff like that, you know, when I got chopped and my knee swelled up to the size of a cantaloupe, and before my father died, you know, took me to the fucking ER and they drained 180 cc's of fucking fluid out of my knee and shit, and I still kept fucking playing football. And then it happened again, and, you know, fucking orthopedic surgeon looked at me and said, either you fucking stop playing football or you're never gonna fucking walk, because you're gonna have nothing left. And now 44 fucking years, well, now at 44 I need 2 complete knee replacements. But, you know, it's you know, I didn't care. I'm young, I'm bulletproof, you know, screw you. What do you know? You know, I can still fucking walk, I can still do everything. And then, you know, when I'm in high school, I'm sitting there walking around in a full fucking leg brace because my knee's so bad that I'm not allowed to bend it. So I got a full leg brace to hold my knee straight, just to keep it going, that type of thing, you know. It just, you know, and then just, you know, getting in trouble in school, and, you know, once I got into high school, it was, you know, Hell, I still remember this to this day. It was first day of school, or first week of school or whatever, but you know, when you're in high school you have classes certain days and classes another day or whatever. I remember sitting in health class. Now, be me being me, I'm at the time combat boots, black fucking jeans, holes in them, Harley Davidson t-shirt, a leather fucking jacket, a black hat, backwards on my head, you know, long fucking hair. I walk in the room, sit in the first fucking desk right next to the fucking door. That's why I'm the first one in, first fucking one out. And if anybody who sat in that desk, they had an issue. Here, in come walking the teacher. He stops. Doesn't even get to his desk. Turns around, looks at me and goes, "What are you doing here?" I said, "I'm in this class." He said, "No, you're not." I said, "Yeah, I am." He said, "No, you're not. You're too fucking old to be in this goddamn class. Get the fuck out." Just like that. Get the fuck out. Okay. So I got up, walked the fuck out. Now, you know, I didn't carry fucking books with me. I didn't have a backpack. I had a fucking notebook in my back pocket with a couple of fucking pens in my pocket. Didn't have none, so I said, okay, fine. I got up and I fucking walked out. Next time I had class, I came back and I sat down in the same fucking chair. He looked at me and said, "Why didn't you tell me your name? Why didn't you say that you belong?" I said, "I did, and I tried. You told me I was too old to be here. Get the fuck out of your classroom." So I left. I was brought up to listen. Yeah, me and him didn't get along too well either. But, it was high school. And I was the rebellious type. I didn't like conformity. I didn't like, this is what I had to do. This is what I was supposed to do. This, that, and the other damn thing. I wasn't like that. In any way, shape, or form. I mean, going from middle school to high school, you know, if you're a certain way in middle school, when you go into high school, you want to keep that. Like, you know, if you're the big bad motherfucker, you want to keep that going into high school. Well, I was one of the biggest kids in my high school. And this little shit comes in and fucked with me for days and days and days. I finally got tired of it. I started bouncing his ass across the fucking guy, walking down the hallway from one side to the other in the lockers. Not hurting him, you know, not physically punching him or anything, just picking him up and throwing him into a locker. Picking him up, throw him into the locker. I walked past my dean, my principal, head of security, shit like that, bouncing this kid in the lockers. Got in trouble for that one in school, but what happened later, well, apparently his older brother was in class with me. I didn't know. I didn't care. But him and his buddies decided that I needed to be and learn a lesson. Oh. So this video doesn't get cut off or anything like that. I got a couple of minutes. Oh, I was going over to my buddy's house. And walking down the road, there was a closed down gas station. They proceeded to jump me. 5 guys proceeded to jump me. Me being me, knowing how to do stuff, how to handle myself, how to get out of certain situations, being taught by certain people, stuff like that. I backed myself into a corner And I just kept fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting. And they weren't getting any headway on me. And I kept knocking them down and kept doing what I had to do. Somehow I got away. I was able, well, not able. I moved away from where I was, and one of them was able to get behind me. And he picked up something. Come to find out it was a lead pipe and cracked me over the damn skull. I didn't go down right away because my adrenaline's pumping. My adrenaline's just like going fucking 90,000 miles an hour, just pumping through my veins. Well, with your adrenaline pumping like that and you get a head wound, blood is just gushing. I mean, all I remember at that point in time was before I went down, there was 2 or 3 of them on the ground when I went down. The next thing I remember is waking up in the hospital. According to the doctor and eyewitnesses, that would be when I walked to the fire station. I somehow, someway, got my ass up, walked roughly a mile to the firehouse, knocked on the front door. They answered the front door, and I collapsed in their arms, got to the hospital, and I had just enough blood in my